The 1980s was a golden age for action movies, with iconic films that have stood the test of time. Here are the top 10 action movies from the 1980s. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom is an action-adventure film directed by Steven Spielberg and released in 1984. It is the second installment in the Indiana Jones franchise, following the first film, Raiders of the Lost Ark, in 1981. The movie takes place in 1935, a year before the events of the first movie, and follows Indiana Jones, played by Harrison Ford, as he travels to India and becomes embroiled in a quest to recover a sacred stone and rescue enslaved children from a mysterious cult. Along with Indiana Jones, the movie also features new characters such as Willie Scott, played by Kate Capshaw, a nightclub singer who becomes Jones' love interest, and Short Round, played by Jonathan Kekwono, a young orphan boy who becomes Jones' sidekick. Rambo: First Blood Part E is a 1985 action film directed by George P. Cosmatos and starring Sylvester Stallone as John Rambo. The movie is a sequel to the 1982 film First Blood and continues the story of John Rambo, a former Green Beret who is now a troubled and traumatized Vietnam veteran. In Rambo: First Blood Part E, John Rambo is released from prison and recruited by the US government to return to Vietnam on a top-secret mission. His mission is to find and photograph evidence of Poles who are still being held captive in Vietnam, despite the government's official stance that all American prisoners of war had been released at the end of the Vietnam War. Rambo is paired with a new partner, Ko Bao, a local Vietnamese woman who acts as his guide and interpreter. As they venture deeper into the jungle, Rambo's past trauma resurfaces, and he begins to question the mission's motives and his own abilities. Beverly Hills Cop is a 1984 action-comedy film directed by Martin Brest and starring A. Murphy as Axel Foley, a street-smart Detroit cop who travels to Beverly Hills, California to solve the murder of his best friend. The film also stars Judge Reinhold as Detective Billy Rosewood and John Ashton as Sergeant John Taggart, two Beverly Hills police officers who become Foley's unlikely allies. The plot of the movie revolves around Axel Foley, who travels to Beverly Hills to investigate the murder of his friend Mikey Tondino. Foley soon discovers that Mikey was involved in a smuggling operation involving stolen bonds worth millions of dollars. As Foley tries to track down the killers and recover the stolen bonds, he clashes with the Beverly Hills Police Department and gets into various humorous situations. Throughout the movie, Foley's street smarts and unconventional methods clash with the more formal and by-the-book approach of the Beverly Hills Police. The film features a mix of action, comedy, and drama, and includes iconic scenes such as Foley's visit to a strip club, his chase through a Beverly Hills mansion, and the memorable banana in the tailpipe scene. Commando is a 1985 American action film directed by Mark L. Lester and starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. The movie follows John Matrix Schwarzenegger, a retired Special Forces colonel, is forced back into action when his daughter, played by Alyssa Milano, is kidnapped by a group of mercenaries led by Arias Adenidea. The plot of the movie revolves around Matrix's quest to rescue his daughter and take revenge on those who kidnapped her. Along the way, he is aided by Cindy Don Chano, a flight attendant who helps him track down the mercenaries. The film is known for its high-octane action sequences, including a memorable scene in which Matrix takes on dozens of heavily armed mercenaries using only his brute strength and wits. It was a box office success upon its release and has since become a cult classic of the action genre. Commando is often cited as one of Schwarzenegger's most iconic roles and helped solidify his status as a major action star of the 1980s. The movie has also been praised for its fast-paced plot, memorable one-liners, and over-the-top action sequences. The Terminator is a science fiction film released in 1984, directed by James Cameron and starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, Linda Hamilton, and Michael Biehn. The movie is set in the year 2029, where war is being waged between humanity and a network of self-aware machines called Skynet. Skynet sends a cyborg assassin, called the Terminator, played by Schwarzenegger, back in time to 1984 to kill Sarah Connor Hamilton, who will eventually give birth to the leader of the human resistance against Skynet. In 1984, the Terminator arrives in Los Angeles and begins tracking down Sarah Connor. Is working as a waitress. Kyle Reese, a soldier from the future, also travels back in time to protect Sarah. He reveals to her that the Terminator is a killing machine sent to eliminate her, and that her future son will be the key to defeating Skynet. Sarah and Reese are pursued by the Terminator, leading to a series of high-speed chases and intense action scenes. As the movie progresses, Sarah and Reese grow closer, and Sarah learns that she is the key to the survival of the human race. The Terminator ultimately catches up with them, and a final showdown ensues at a factory, where Sarah and Reese attempt to destroy the Terminator. The movie ends with the Terminator being crushed in a hydraulic press, seemingly destroyed, but a post-credits scene suggests that the threat of Skynet may not be over. Die Hard is a classic American action film released in 1988, directed by John McTiernan and starring Bruce Willis as the protagonist, John McClane. The film tells the story of McClane, a New York City police officer who is visiting his estranged wife in Los Angeles for Christmas. He finds himself trapped in a high-rise building that is taken over by a group of terrorists led by Hans Gruber, played by Alan Rickman. As the terrorists try to carry out their plan to steal millions of dollars in bearer bonds, McClane becomes the only hope for the hostages and must use his wits and skills to outsmart the terrorists and save the day. The film is known for its iconic one-liners, intense action sequences, and the memorable performance by Rickman as the villain. Die Hard was a critical and commercial success, spawning for sequels, and is considered one of the greatest action movies ever made. Lethal Weapon is a popular American action comedy film directed by Richard Donner and released in 1987. The movie stars Mel Gibson as Martin Riggs, a volatile police detective who has recently lost his wife, and Danny Glover as Roger Murda, a veteran detective on the verge of retirement. Here are some details about the movie. Plot: the movie follows Riggs and Murda as they team up to investigate a drug trafficking operation in Los Angeles. Along the way, they discover that the operation is being run by a group of ex-military mercenaries, and they must work together to take down the criminals and save innocent lives. Cast: in addition to Mel Gibson and Danny Glover, the movie features Gary Busey as the main villain, Tom Atkins as Murder's captain, and Darlene Love as Murder's wife. The movie also features a young appearance from Blackadder actor Tim McInerney as a security guard. Box office success: Lethal Weapon was a massive success at the box office, grossing over $120 million worldwide against a budget of $15 million. The movie was so successful that it spawned three sequels, all of which also starred Gibson and Glover. RoboCop is a science fiction action film directed by Paul Verhoeven and released in 1987. The movie is set in a crime-ridden Detroit in the near future and follows the story of a police officer named Alex Murphy, played by Peter Weller, who is brutally murdered by a gang of criminals. Murphy's remains are then used to create a cyborg police officer known as RoboCop, who's tasked with cleaning up the city and bringing the criminals to justice. As RoboCop begins to investigate the crimes in the city, he begins to uncover a larger conspiracy involving corrupt politicians and businessmen. The movie was a critical and commercial success, leading to sequels, a TV series, and several other adaptations. It is known for its graphic violence, social commentary, and iconic portrayal of the titular character. Predator is a science fiction action movie that was released in 1987. The movie was directed by John McTiernan and starred Arnold Schwarzenegger, Carl Weathers, and Kevin Peter Hall. The plot of the movie revolves around a team of commandos who are sent into the jungle to rescue hostages. However, they soon realize that they are being hunted by a technologically advanced alien predator who is also in the jungle. The predator is equipped with advanced weaponry and technology, including a cloaking device that makes it nearly invisible. As the commandos are picked off one by one, they realize that they are no match for the predator and must use their wits and teamwork to try to survive. The movie was a commercial success and spawned a franchise that includes several sequels, a crossover with the Alien franchise, and a reboot in 2018. It is known for its memorable characters, intense action scenes, and iconic one-liners, such as Schwarzenegger's famous "Get to the chopper" line. Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome is an Australian post-apocalyptic action film directed by George Miller and George Ogilvy. It was released in 1985 and is the third film in the Mad Max series. The film takes place in a post-apocalyptic world where resources are scarce and people are struggling to survive. Max Rakatskinsiza, played by Mel Gibson, is a former police officer turned wanderer who is captured by a group of survivors in the city of Bartertown. The town is ruled by an entity played by Tina Turner, who offers Max a deal if he can defeat the town's strongest fighter in a gladiator-style battle. She will help him find the person who stole his vehicle and left him for dead in the desert. Max agrees to the deal and is taken to Thunderdome, a large metal cage where two men enter and only one leaves. Max manages to defeat his opponent but spares his life, earning the respect of the people of Bartertown. However, Anti-Entity reneges on her promise and banishes Max to the desert. In the desert, Max encounters a group of children who have formed their own society, based on a mythical figure known as Captain Walker, who is said to be able to lead them to a place called Tomorrowland, a utopia where they can live in peace. Max agrees to help the children and leads them through the desert,